Ace has dropped all the way from Vancouver, British Columbia. Soccer Down here is live on a West Coast morning time slot. Thanks for catching up with us at a later time than you're used to. And thanks for checking out the show yesterday. That was a lot of fun, and we've had requests to do those again, and I make no guarantee. Yeah, Jeremy York wants us to do that again, and I make no guarantee that I will have the same lack of brain power to actually pull that off. So we'll give it a shot, Jeremy, but we make no guarantees at all. Sorry about the sound being a little different as well. I blame it on Canadian electronics. No, actually, I'm just missing a battery for the iRig, so it happens. We'll have it for tomorrow. Lots and lots and lots of stuff to get into because, that's what happens. We're flying to Vancouver yesterday, and the word is announced that Mike Burns has been let go by the New England Revolution, and then the rumors started about who would be replacing him. And hey, credit to the Revs. They didn't waste any time. First thing this morning, they announced that Bruce Arena is taking over as the sporting director and the manager. We'll get into that in just a bit, and I would love to hear what people think about that, because the takes I have seen have been all over the place, from very happy to very angry to sad to indifferent. I want to know what you guys are thinking about Bruce Arena back in the league and leading the overhaul of the New England Revolution. But John, you can probably fill me in a little bit better on what the responses were from yesterday about Atlanta United's win over Orlando on the weekend, and also the news that you will see some squad rotation on Wednesday night at BC Place. Michael Parkhurst and Darlington Nagbe did not make the trip up here.
Yep, and once again, reminder to everybody who didn't send in their hashtag Overreaction Monday on Sunday and send in their overreaction. Yes, and for those who didn't send in an Overreaction Monday on Monday, or an on par, as Jeremy is wont to do, go ahead and send them in as Tuesday Thoughts or as Overreaction Tuesdays, since we weren't around on Monday, or just call them Overreaction Mondays, whatever. I have seen concern over the last 20 minutes, but as we discussed, just over the fatigue and the chances that Orlando had. And, we discussed it on the show on Sunday/Monday that it was fatigue, and you saw it in players, and that was, just hanging on. And also when it came to squad rotation, I think that a lot of folks considered it to be something of an inevitability, not just knowing when rotation was actually going to happen. I think that folks are more than pleased about the notion of rotation, and seeing that Parkhurst and Nagbe were two that were held back and will be ready for Red Bulls. I think that was giving a combination of stroked chins and the people's eyebrows. So it's been mixed. It's been intrigue. It's been okay. So if those two are sitting, then what's it going to look like? So there's been a lot of across the board. Okay, cool. It's rotation. Oh, so you're sitting Parkhurst and Nagbe. Okay, so then what's it going to look like, and what do you foresee going up against the Vancouver Whitecaps midweek? So it's been the positivity of the result. Concern over player legs in the last 20 minutes, and then now, okay, we've got rotation and two players are heading home. So that's the Cliff's Notes version of what folks were thinking about over the last 36 hours.
Well, two players staying at home. They're not making the trip, so they get to rest out and get ready for New York. And I mean, let's start with those two. Why would those two be two of the players that you're resting ahead of the Red Bulls match? What do the Red Bulls do? They press. Two players like Michael Parkhurst and especially Darlington Nagbe are two players that are going to be on the ball a lot to deal with that press. You want them fresh. Parkhurst is no surprise because it's been him or Shea at left back, and also Mikey Ambrose is back into action as well. He played with the twos on Sunday, so he's getting back into that rotation. You might be able to get some minutes out of him very soon, but it's been one or the other. So Parkhurst gets a chance to rest, and he deserves it, and he needs it. And Nagbe was maybe the most tired looking at the end, where you started to see sloppy passes from Darling to Nagbe, you know he's worn out. So you give him the week off to get ready for Red Bulls, where you're really going to need him to be able to control possession like you want to at Red Bull Arena.
And, I mean, you mentioned Nagbe. I mean, I would have mentioned Escobar as well, and possibly Eric Remedi as those who really looked fatigued on the weekend. And I now would just anticipate them being a part of the 18s and not necessarily starting in Vancouver. And if you need them as break glass options, I would anticipate that that's what they are, yeah?
Well, that's the thing we don't know, and that's what you'll just have to wait to see until the lineup comes out, until Mike and I bring that to you on the AT&T Countdown to Kickoff, an hour before kickoff. Because I think you could still see more rotation than just those two being out of the lineup, everybody else is in. You could have some guys who are available, as needed. I'm curious to see what that could look like. Vancouver, by the way, had a very serious injury at practice yesterday. John Arise, their central midfielder, defensive midfielder from Spain, really good addition this year, kind of an under-the-radar addition, had to be carried off the field yesterday at training. Mark Dos Santos said it didn't look good. That likely means that Jarrett Smith's favorite player, Felipe, will be starting for the Whitecaps in his place.
And, when it comes to Vancouver, when you have those key pieces, and we know that Mark Dos Santos has been scouring pretty much worldwide to bring in folks. And when you have that kind of a loss, especially on a quick, on a midweek match, I think and this was the discussion that you and Mike and Jarrett and I had both on and off mic on Sunday. And we were trying to figure out, okay, we know what Red Bulls is, and Vancouver presents an opportunity for full points on the road, and then just trying to sit there and rotate and possibly seeing a lot of the younger players mixed in to the 18 at the very least on the weekend against Red Bulls. So, when Mark Dos Santos is missing a piece like that, I want to see how things are tweaked and see what his lineup looks like. But going into this match in Vancouver, I honestly thought that this would be an opportunity for Atlanta United to get a result more than just shared. And I guess that kind of leaks my prediction for tomorrow a little bit. But I think that, it is a different Vancouver team than the one that was faced last time that there was a trip to BC Place. And I want to see what Mark Dos Santos does now when you have an incident like that at practice.
It's a very different style of Whitecaps this time around. They play so much through the left side with Ali Adnan and him getting forward and basically just giving him free will to go as much as possible. The central midfielders kind of slant over to the left to cover for him because he's their most dangerous threat with the ball at his feet. But they do have a lot of players who I think are kind of flying under the radar in their importance. Hwang In-beom is the new South Korean midfielder, one of 10 MLS players this season with 400-plus passes completed, 10-plus dribbles completed, 10-plus chances created. Great ball from him that eventually led to Freddie Montero's goal against Portland. They're 3 straight, unbeaten. It's their first such streak in 2019. They've only lost 1 time in their last 5. They're not blowing teams away, but they're a tough out. And at home, it's going to be a difficult opponent for Atlanta United, who comes in with 2 days less rest and comes in, I think, a little more tired than the Whitecaps.
No doubt. And I want to see, obviously, I want to see what the lineup looks like on Wednesday. And, I know that you have the batch that has traveled to Vancouver, and it presents an opportunity for some folks. And I want to see how those players who are presented with chances will legitimately hop on that and sit there and seize that opportunity, because, once again, you're going to have situations like this. You're going to have schedule rotation. You're going to have compression. You're going to have things that will present opportunities. And I think that this is one of those chances for a lot of guys who've been wanting to crack the 18 and crack the 11 for whatever reason in a tough environment against a tougher side that I think is grasping what Marc Dos Santos and the staff have been trying to get into their heads this season. And now that we're at the quarter pole, or just past the quarter pole, really, more like the 1/3 pole, you're on the back stretch. You're not quite to turn 2 and turn 3 yet, but I think that you're seeing what Vancouver can be. And to your point, it's going to be a tough out, but I want to see the guys who are given opportunities in this schedule compression and who seizes on it so they can continue to have those opportunities going forward.
It's a different kind of tough out than it was in the past. I mean, Vancouver was a big physical team that was direct and difficult to deal with. This is not really that Vancouver. I think Marc Dos Santos is still honestly trying to figure out what his squad is going to be. Their biggest question is Ali Adnan, their left back, their star left back that Dos Santos has said is the best left back in the league. He's only with them on loan through June 30th. And he said they want to keep him, but there's no guarantees there. If he's not here in the second half, this team looks completely different. They're 22nd in the league in possession. They're 20th in the league in shots and shots on target. They give up a lot of goals on set pieces. They give up a lot of penalties. Those are differences, big differences in how they used to be. They were never really a big possession team, but they were great on set pieces, and they created more chances due to their size. You're not really getting that as much. Freddie Montero, scrappy up top. You have pieces around him that are going to fight and claw, and I'm curious to see how they approach it, because they really made life difficult for Seattle earlier this season. And Seattle approaches matches differently than Atlanta, but Seattle has a high-powered attack, and Vancouver nullified that. Are they going to sit back and try to do that and allow Atlanta to have the ball and look for their chances to hit on the break? Or are they going to think, well, they're missing Nagbe, they're missing one of their top possession guys, we're going to be able to get out and maybe get in their face a little bit and press them and cause some turnovers? Without this team really having an identity at this point, it's a little hard to predict what Vancouver is going to do in this match.
But to your point, I would lean more toward the latter. If you don't have that centerpiece, the spoke in the wheel, so to speak, with a Nagbe, I would think that at home you're going to probably push a little harder, press a little more, try to create turnovers and get things done in transition. So as you were presenting those options to me and to everyone that's listening, I was leaning more toward the latter because you're at home. If it was on the road and you were presented with the same roster situation that Atlanta United is going to be presenting you without a Darlington Nagbe and a Michael Parkhurst, et cetera, I would have gone more toward the first option. But I think because you're at home, I'm leaning more toward the second option as to what you can do to try to sit there and quote, end quote, and yes, I'm using air quotes as I'm talking to you, seize on an opportunity without having someone who's been the straw this year for Atlanta United.
Yeah, they're going to have to play in transition because, I mean, Montero, Lucas Venuto, and Las are your three up front, and they're 4-3-3. They play pretty narrow. You've got 5 goals out of those 3 players. I mean, you're not generating a ton with those 3 guys. It's a tough team to break down, but it's not exactly a team that frightens you going forward. The tricky one for Atlanta because of the amount of matches, because of, honestly, the style of play. And this was something that we were talking about on Sunday is Atlanta United at a place now where they can adjust how they play a bit? Are they at a point now in their 2019 evolution that they can sit back and absorb some pressure and play on the counter? Are they comfortable doing that with the amount of squad rotation? Maybe that makes it even trickier to do. But are they comfortable trying to win in different ways? Or right now, are they still trying to perfect who they are? dominating possession, about 60%, about 600 passes a game. Are those benchmarks still where this team needs to be game in and game out? I think these next two games are going to give us a glimpse at how far advanced Atlanta United is at this point tactically. Are they going to be able to show some different things in these two matchups?
Yeah, I think that I don't know if I'm creating a word by using it, but comfortability. Is that a word?
Yeah, that's not a real word.
Okay, well, it is now. How comfortable you are, A, with what you've learned, and B, if presented with a situation where you might have to do things a little differently, stepping outside of what you've learned and what you have down and trying to do things in a different way. I mean, Atlanta United has won games differently, but I think that this little stretch here with Vancouver, Red Bulls, Real, it might have to present you with, okay, do we do things slightly differently outside of what we know and what we have down to try to get things done? And I think it's an interesting test case. It's an interesting trial balloon to sit here looking at this Vancouver match and figuring out, okay, how is Atlanta United going to proceed and try to get a result out of a match where you have so many variables chasing after you?
Yeah, I think what we've seen so far from Atlanta is they've adjusted really well in matches to different types of opponents. Toronto, they didn't dominate possession. Orlando, they did, things like that. They've been able to adjust and get results here lately. Even second half against Orlando, where they were on wobbly legs, they were able to find a way out of that. It wasn't pretty, but they grinded the result out. Are they going to be able to do that here and just adjust to what Vancouver throws at you, or do they come in with maybe a little bit different plan? It's that time in the season where you start to see those things happen. And with the schedule compression and with the tired legs, it's the time of the season that you might need to try something a little different to keep things fresh. So I'll be curious to see what the approach looks like tomorrow night at BC Place. So are you still with us for one more segment, John, or are you out here?
I would be out here or until Jarrett tags in because of something that's going down in 10 minutes.
Okay. I think Jarrett is in the process of tagging in. So let's take a break, and either John and or Jarrett, maybe both for a minute, maybe one or the other, who knows? We'll be back on the other side of the break. We're going to talk some Bruce Arena right after this.
Today's show is presented by Appolinsky & Associates, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience, supporters of Atlanta United, Faction, and Inter-Atlanta Youth Football Club. If you've been hurt in a wreck, contact Steve today at steve@aa-legal.com or call in 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
A ranger station.
I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
I put out my campfire and Smokey Bear hugged me.
So you drowned the fire, you stirred it, drowned it again, and felt that it was cold?
Uh-huh.
Yep, he's just letting you know you did good.
Bear hug from Smokey Bear. Status update.
I'm gonna let you go now. There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service Ad Council and your state forester.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Every hiring manager knows that a company is only as good as the people it's made from. So where do you find the best people? That may surprise you.
Meet the grads of life. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
This is talent worth knowing about.
Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Welcome back. Soccer Down here. West Coast time slot this morning for me, at least. Afternoon for most of you guys. I don't know if we have many listeners on the West Coast, but if you do, hello. We're here in the beautiful British Columbia, getting ready for Atlanta and Vancouver at BC Place tomorrow night. I've got a question, and this was just shared in our group chat here. Panic at the Disco. They've had a great year, right? I mean, they're all over the place. They've got songs all over pop radio, all over rock radio. I mean, they're kind of killing it. I always forget the lead singer's name. He just did a song with Taylor freaking Swift. Okay? I mean, they're kind of big at the moment.
Sure.
I'm disappointed in Panic at the Disco. Very disappointed right now. So they are one of your headliners for Music Midtown. And their tweet about it starts out with the word Hotlanta.
Oh, no.
Panic at the Disco.
Come on, man.
Nobody calls it Hotlanta. Nobody.
Hotlanta.
If you call it Hotlanta, you're a cop. Like, they're just, no, you're no.
I was going to say, you're Alpharetta Dad.
You're not even that. You're a narc. Like, there's something going on. Like,
Crispin Michael with the sign pointed at you that says narc.
Oh, Panic at the Disco. You'd had such a good year, and you just ruined it. You just completely ruined it.
This would where you would run the Price is Right loser horn. This is where you would pull that.
Yes. Hotlanta.
Boom, 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 boom.
Anyway.
That's like saying, we are the A from way down south, and we are here, rowdy and proud.
Well, when you say it that way, that's lame. Yeah, no, I mean, the actual, like, when you do it, it's cool. When you say it that way, yeah, it's no good.
That's what I'm saying. That's the equivalent of pulling a Hotlanta reference when you're leading off a tweet.
You know, honestly, it's worse because Hotlanta cannot be redeemed no matter how it's said.
Oh,
you can, like, that chant is good when it's done properly.
Most certainly. Yes.
No, there's just no redeeming Hotlanta.
There is no going back for a Hotlanta reference.
No, there's just not. And I hope Brendan Urie, that's the lead singer's name. I hope he's not tweeting for them because he's kind of making it big right now, and I hate to see his career ruined by calling it Hotlanta.
Not tweeting this kind of thing, Brendan.
Come on, Brendan, don't do that. I hope Bruce Arena doesn't come out for his press conference on Thursday in New England and has a faux pas like calling something Hotlanta. He's going to be introduced Thursday morning. When the news broke on Cincinnati, I mean, that happened while we were on the air, and my initial gut reaction was go call Bruce Arena.
Yep.
And it sounds like they did. I am not one to say that he should be managing for the next 10 years in MLS, but in a sporting director role like New England's giving him and a short-term managerial job, and that's what I think it should be. With where they are right now, I think he's a guy who can come in and clean it up. Matt Doyle made some really good points this morning, and I want to get your take on just the Arena hire in just a second, John. But Matt Doyle mentioned that Arena came in, completely overhauled the Galaxy in 2008, 2009. We had talked about it. The first thing he did was, this was as the Beckham experiment book from Grant Wall was breaking, and Landon Donovan was sniping at David Beckham in the media, and Beckham was sniping back. Bruce Arena brought them both into his office and said, no, we're going to finish this right here. We're going to get this fixed because you two have to be on the same page, and we're not leaving here until we do. And they did. And then along the way, Bruce also pretty much overhauled the roster because it was hot garbage. And at the end of 2009, he took them to MLS Cup. They lost to Real Salt Lake on penalties. They didn't make it in 10, but then they won back-to-back cups. There's a lot of work to do in New England, and I think there's a lot of work to do off the field that Bruce's sporting director role will be really important. The academy's got to be better. They've got to figure out better partnerships to develop young players in USL Championship or USL League One. All those kind of things have to get done. I think he'll have a great impact on that. What do you think about this hire for the Revolution? Does it make them a far more interesting watch right now, or are you kind of taking a wait and see?
No doubt. I mean, it's Bruce freaking Arena. And
is that good or bad though?
I don't know, but still it makes it must-see TV because of, so if the Galaxy were hot garbage when Arena came in, how would you refer to the Revs right now?
Roster-wise, nowhere near that. No. Roster-wise, nowhere near that. I think they have a better roster than the results have been. And, Tim Howard said that when you compared Klinsmann to Arena with the national team, that Arena allowed the players to be comfortable and be themselves. That's what you need right now with coming off of the Brad Friedel era where he wanted fans to beat his players up.
Fight your teammate.
Yeah. Just bad times. Bad times all the way around. I don't know. I'm intrigued to see what he has to say. That's I think, where I'm at right now. So I want to see what Bruce Arena's got to say if he's got a plan. And he probably will. I mean, he knows how to play that game.
But for me, it instantly turns the Revs into must-see TV because of where they are right now with the roster that, I mean, honestly, you look at the guys there, and it's not that bad. And
I don't think it is. I think there's issues, but I don't think it's horrendous.
No, and I think that when you have Bruce Arena, what concerns me is doing both sporting director and head coach. But I think right now, in a short-term idea, if you're trying to turn things around, hand over the keys, sit there and say, fix this, and then longer term, find someone that shares your philosophy and they can be head coach and you can continue to be sporting director to continue to build the academy, the off the field, and the identity of the Revs. And who knows, maybe they'll change the kit. But right now, since it's Bruce freaking Arena for me, I think it turns it into must-see television.
They're 5 points out of a playoff spot right now. Do the Revolution make the playoffs this year?
No, I think they're 8 or 9, whichever one is just close. I mean, they'll be close and they'll be frustrating, but I think they'll just miss out.
Do they make it next year?
Yes.
Okay. But if that's the case, job well done. And then I think it should be hand the keys to somebody else to run the team side, and you can still be the sporting director and do all of that stuff.
Exactly. That's the way I'm.
Is a good idea, I think.
Okay.
Pat Noonan, former Revolution player, he's been part of Arena's teams and staffs before. Groom him, let him take over after the 20 season, and there you go.
Sounds like a plan to me, but just hand over the keys right now. Make sure that he makes the car not continue to wreck and hit the guardrail and trade paint and end up in the grass median in the middle, which is where it seems to be right now. Just fix the car, find a mechanic. You've got the mechanic, fix the car, make sure it runs, get it back out there on the road, make sure that you don't get black flagged, and just get everything squared away over the next little year plus for me. This is a project, and as long as you look at it that way, I'd still think it's must-see TV.
Yeah, I'm intrigued. All right, we're going to let you go, and we're going to go find Jarrett Smith. And then are you coming back, or are you done?
Yes, I will see you in an hour.
Okay, we will see you then, and we'll hear from Jarrett Smith on the other side of the break.
As a business owner, you know that every year brings new challenges and opportunities. The success of your business demands expertise and focus. And Country Financial can help you keep that focus by helping ensure you have the right insurance protection in place to meet your goals. Jason Wright can help you create a customized insurance plan that has coverages designed just for your business. Give Jason a call at 678-568-6871 or reach him on Facebook at Jason Wright Agency. Coverages vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Got issues with youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA is a national nonprofit working to transform youth and high school sports so that every child has a positive character-building youth sports experience. PCA provides live and online workshops to train double-goal coaches whose first goal is winning and whose second, more important goal is teaching life lessons through sports. PCA also has workshops for parents and high school student-athletes. For more information, please visit positivecoach.org.
If you've been hurt in a car wreck, contact my friend Steve Apolinski of Apolinski & Associates. He's been representing individuals for over 30 years throughout Georgia and Alabama. Email him at steve@aa-legal.com or call him 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
I adopted Bento in 2010 from a shelter. This cat makes me make art. He's always motivating me to draw pictures of him. He just is motivating artistically. He's my best friend, but a lot of people know him as Keyboard Cat.
Keyboard Cat, YouTube star and shelter pet. Amazing adoption stories start in shelters. Start yours today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you.
Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back. Soccer Down here. Pacific time slot. Kind of cool. It's kind of weird. I mean, I woke up at 4 o'clock this morning, Vancouver time, and was really, really confused. But I'm somewhat trying to figure it out now. Jarrett is not confused. He's on his lunch break joining us right now. We finally found him on Skype. What's up, Jarrett?
Hey, I was really confused when I woke up at 4 a.m. too, but that's because a child woke me up. So
I woke up and was like, where am I? What's going on? I'm confused. But I had some Tim Hortons, so I'm feeling a little bit better.
I've heard about Tim Hortons. I've never had it, but I've also never been to Canada for more than like 30 seconds, and that was on a boat. Or we just
That's long enough. 30 seconds is long enough to have some Timbits, Jared.
There wasn't one on the boat. So
that's disappointing.
Take that up with the boat.
Yeah, that's not cool. We also, and thanks to Mike for finding this yesterday, the rare winter edition Red Bull was still spotted here in Vancouver. The Plum Twist, or Prune Twist, as it is called in Canada.
I still need to try the Bahama Breeze one, or
the Beach Breeze?
Beach Breeze.
See, having the Plum Twist again, I'm thinking maybe it is my number 2, right behind the Peach.
I mean, it's like Peach is number 1 for you, I know.
The Peach is easily number 1. Like, it's not even close. But the winter edition, it's getting pretty rare these days. In the 250 milliliter can, it's pretty cool. All right, before we bore everybody, let's get back to Bruce Arena, because that's the big news of the day. What did you think about this? And I'll ask you what I asked John to end the last segment. They're 5 points out of a playoff spot right now. Do the New England Revolution make the playoffs in 2019?
Oh, man, I'm inclined to say yes, and I'm inclined to say yes, but not last year, but yes this year, and they get that last spot because they have talent. The question is, and I forget who brought it up. I'd have to go back and look. I'd have been Doyle who brought it up. That Arena had overhauled.
Yeah,
LA
we talked about that.
LA.
Yep, exactly. And he got them to MLS Cup in 2009, the next year.
And no, and I don't mean any shade by it or anybody about it, but this summer window it was so much fun for everyone, and especially if he gets in there and goes, I can work with this. I'm not going to work with this for more than a year before I burn everything to the ground and rebuild it myself. I can work with this. Man, the summer window could get stupid really quick, stupider than it usually is. Not that it's not.
It's a little hard to even predict what's going to happen here, because you also have Cincinnati, who's on 11 points, and they have a game in hand on the Revolution, and they don't have a long-term manager at the moment. They are one, along with Colorado, that are on the interim manager kick, and we'll see what happens with those two. And I don't know if there's anybody else who's really on that hot seat right now, but it's that time of year where we get all kinds of craziness. And a name did pop up that I think people do need to keep in mind for either the Cincinnati or the Colorado job. Eduardo Caldet, who just won the Argentine Superliga with Racing. He is linked to either Liga MX jobs or MLS jobs, and there's no teams attached to it yet. But Caldet played in Mexico late in his career, but he finished his career in the United States with Philadelphia in 2010 and then with the Fort Lauderdale Strikers in 2011 before becoming a manager and winning the league not that long into his managerial career. He's a guy who's going to be in demand, and I don't know if there's anybody right now who, I don't know if he fits in Cincinnati or Colorado, for example. But if he makes it clear through his agent that he wants to come to MLS, I wonder if there's a club who would say, well, we're not that happy with what we have.
That'd be interesting, and because I have my questions about some clubs this year, and we've talked about it in the preseason. One that sticks out to me is, like, if RSL doesn't make the playoffs, do they move on from Mike Petke? And and especially if those kind of names are available, do they go, do they get like a little trigger happy? Do other clubs who are kind of, Adrian Heath in Minnesota, if Minnesota's not able to really rise, and I think Minnesota's they're definitely better than they've been in years past. I think they're good enough to make the playoffs this year. I think they're still in a playoff spot right now, actually. I'm not without the table in front of me. But, I mean, yeah, there's some guys that you kind of wonder about. Do general managers go, well, the grass might be greener over there. It's not completely dead over here, but it's kind of turning a light shade of brown. And, I mean, guys like that who are with clubs who you're expecting a lot this year after a couple of years of disappointment, if they feel like not just those two, but clubs like that feel like kind of candidates to pull a trigger really easy like that.
RSL's a really good shout, and I'd love to see Mike Petke get this right. I think he has so much promise, and we've seen so many good things out of them, but they're just so inconsistent. And if a guy like Caudette is available out there, that's a hard one to not consider, coming off of a title in Argentina right now and knowing what the league looks like, and his family wants to be here, it sounds like. I think he's in the league. I just don't know where. I think he's in the league at least at the start of the 2020 season. I just don't know where it's going to be.
How about in Orlando if JOC doesn't? Yeah, and we've talked about this. We talked about it after the game. That Orlando's not bad, y'all. Like, I get it. We dunk on Orlando a lot because, man, that is just the lowest of low-hanging fruits. That's not a bad team. And that's not, considering how bad they were last year and how many problems there were, that's not a bad team. And that's another one that's coming into my mind about, that's a place he could go. I mean, that's a place that if JOC is not the guy, they could say, well, we gave it a good run. Sir, come on in. Doors open.
That's an interesting one. I mean, you would think with their ownership that they would maybe be looking Brazilian, not Argentine. But Caudette is a pretty hot commodity right now. And, yeah, I would say that O'Connor is a guy that has to step it up. Petke has to step it up. He has to make the playoffs this year. Those are probably the next three, I would say. I don't think Chris Armas is in any kind of trouble with Red Bulls. I don't think he should be, I guess is maybe the more fair way to say it, although you had all of those Thierry Henry conversations. I don't know who else I would be looking at for a guy like Caudette. And I wonder because, and this is where things get tricky on the calendar. So does he stay at Racing for the first half of the 2019-2020 season? And the way the Argentine league is set up, it's absolutely ludicrous. Like it's a league schedule that will be done before the end of the calendar year. And in the second half is like a cup tournament. That's just weird because it's Argentina. Get used to it. It actually works out to where he could take a short-term deal with Racing, stay another half season, which would technically be the full season, and then look and see what's available. He doesn't really have to rush into something right now.
No, he doesn't. And I think there's plenty of teams that would love to make, like, I guess I'm going to call it. I don't mean it in a snap judgment, but they could decide, hey, yeah, we want to be, we don't want to miss on this. Like, this is something that we think is worth the risk.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big deal. So you've got clubs that I don't think the manager's on the hot seat today, but the manager could be on the hot seat at the end of the season. I think you've got quite a few clubs in that type of category. And if Caudette doesn't want Cincinnati, and it sounds like Cincinnati wants to go big European, which I don't know if that's the right move or not, but that's all the rumors that are coming out of there. Colorado, I don't know. We haven't really heard anything out of what Colorado wants to do. Somebody like Caudette going to Colorado would be really interesting. And I think it would come back to one of the things that people have asked about Arena going to New England. If you're going to go to Colorado, you're going to have to demand a certain level of spending. You're going to have to demand a certain level of investment. And I don't think Bruce Arena took the New England job without being assured of a certain level of investment. And they did just try to spend $14 million on a winger in the Belgian league. So, just saying.
Yeah, and I think there's a certain autonomy that comes with it, too, that not only spending, but to say, hey, I want to be able to spend, and I want to be able to spend it my way, and I want to have the say. You bring in somebody big like that, I think, and you get that with Arena, and you get it with the GM role that comes with it. But even if the GM role isn't tied to someone's name officially, I think you go get if you're bringing in a name like that, that's kind of understood.
Yeah, I think if you're going to go get somebody like that, if you're going to open up that conversation, I think okay, it's going to be time to do things a little differently here, because they're not coming for, not spending on players. And New England is investing in a training facility. Now they're investing in Bruce Arena. I think he's not there unless they're going to invest in that roster a little bit. Keep an eye on it. I'm really curious to see if he's taking this job as a way to maybe redefine his legacy, because like him or not, he is, I think he is the most successful U.S. soccer manager of all time. National team, club, all of it. I think he is the guy. But that legacy took a mega, mega hit with how he just screwed up. I mean, there's just really no other way to say it. Screwed up the end of the qualification process and kept the United States from getting to the World Cup last summer. So much of that's on Bruce Arena. I think more of it's on Arena than the players. What's that?
I was going to say, I was glad you called it. It was like, yeah, no, call it. He screwed up. That's okay.
He screwed up.
It happens.
Yeah, he got it wrong. And it's a shame because he has this amazing legacy that is extremely tarnished because of that. I wonder if he takes this job. One, I think he definitely wanted to go out in a different way than that. I don't think he wanted that to be his last job. But this is an opportunity to take a club that has never won MLS Cup and has always been either we get really close and then fall apart, or then in recent years just we're bad, we're awful, and we have no players coming through an academy. Like, it's just bad.
The Jay Heap era wasn't that long ago, y'all. Like, it really wasn't.
Heaps got him to MLS Cup in 2014, and it's been a downhill slide ever since.
That's what I mean. The end of his run, where it looked like you go back to the Rev wedding in Atlanta, and even the games before and after that, where it just looked damningly like they just were like, nah, we're done.
That was the one that lineup came out. I remember seeing it and saying, I have no idea what they're going to do here. I have no idea how they're playing with these players in this field together. I have no idea how this is going to work. And it sure didn't work very well. So that was kind of the last straw for Heaps. And then Friedel just hasn't been able to get over the hump. I mean, we'll see what's next for Brad Friedel, but I think Arena takes this job as an opportunity to change his legacy and to end on a more positive note. I don't think he takes it if he's not going to have everything he needs to accomplish that.
No, I agree with you. I think it's he's going to take this, and you talk about his legacy. The international legacy is what it is at this point. As much as I know some people hate that word, the phrase "it is what it is," but it is in this case. That domestic legacy, though, I mean, it's still ripe to be twisted and molded again. And wouldn't that be something else if he just absolutely turns it around and turns around this team and wins that cup with them, and he can look on his legacy and say, hey, I've taken over two teams, old legacy MLS clubs, torn them apart, rebuilt them, and won titles with them. That's something to hang your hat on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if he wins titles in DC at the very beginning, wins titles with LA in MLS 2.0, and then rebuilds the New England Revolution and wins their first title, that's going to be really tough to ever match. I mean, that's the kind of level we're talking about here. Talking about a big level, Will Palmer just tweeted at us. He's loving the lunchtime slot. Lunchtime for you, Will. It's 9:46 here in Vancouver. It's still early. He's excited because he can listen live. His question: is there an MLS club that could go after Jose Mourinho, or is his head still too big for Major League Soccer?
That's a good question. I don't know.
I don't think his head's too big for MLS. I don't. I seem to remember him saying something about wanting to work in the United States later in his career. And it could have just been being nice because, his clubs, whether it was Chelsea or Real Madrid or Manchester United, always came over and played here in preseason. I think he had a great relationship in Los Angeles with UCLA and would usually book that for an extended stay. I could absolutely see him in MLS. Now, you talk about making sure that somebody's going to have everything they want to work with. Yeah, you're not getting him and saying, here's a couple of TAM players for you. Have fun.
Here's a question for you, because this popped into my head last night when there was Bruce Arena discussions going on when all this was popping off. We've looked at what Tata did. He came into Atlanta. Tata won a title in just year 2. Frank de Boer has decided apparently he's just going to start salting the earth like Carthage over the last few games. As much as we talk about these big-name managers, what managers out there worldwide are kind of might be reclamation projects, might be looking at this going, you know what? I'm going to take a chance and head over to MLS and see if I can't rebuild myself and succeed over there and see, where it gets me, especially after you see Tata. And not to say Tata was a bad manager, but the reputation wasn't as sterling. I mean, go back and look at when he was hired at some of the comments around the world by it. Guy landed a gig in Mexico. He gets him passed around a 16 in a World Cup. He'll get a statue in Mexico.
And he got paid to take that job in Mexico, too.
He got paid.
Oh, he got paid.
Did he ever?
Paid.
I want to know what kind of coaches might be out there who might be looking at this going, maybe we need to start, going over to MLS and talking, having us some conversations.
Well, let's look at what's happened in the last year. So you had Tata. Matias Almeida, who didn't need to rebuild a career, but wanted to find the next challenge, the next level for him. And he goes from TUS Guadalajara to San Jose. And
the challenge.
Yeah, but he's making some things happen with the Quakes. Frank de Boer coming to Atlanta, absolutely. I will be Bruce Arena in his own way. Absolutely, he's trying to change his legacy and change what people think. I'll be curious to see what Cincinnati does. I mean, David Moyes' name has popped up a bunch of times. David Moyes would be that type of guy. Would he come here and be a bit of a reclamation project? I'll tell you another one that I had actually suggested for New England before the Arena stuff started was Andre Villas-Boas. I mean, this was the hot young manager in Europe at one point. He was the next Mourinho, except maybe not as prickly and difficult to deal with. Super soccer brain, and he was last in China. So he would seem to be a perfect fit to come here and be able to take all of those theories and try to put them into practice in a league where I think Tata said it in a lot of ways. Coming to Major League Soccer and winning here is more of a challenge than it is in some other leagues because parity. Because of all the things that try to keep teams even, you have to be a good manager. You have to be a good tactician. You have to be a good man manager to get the most out of your squad. You can't just go buy the best players and that's it.
Yeah. I mean, you got to figure it out at some point, and I have many questions about how it kind of gets figured out for some of these guys around the world to say, hey, maybe we need to take that trek after watching Tata do it and Frank de Boer's figuring it out. And you look at the team, the way they're playing, I get the results have looked kind of like, and I don't mean to make this comparison directly, but it's the first thing that pops into my mind. Their playing style doesn't, but the results do. Is that 2016 Colorado team? The results are similar, the style's not. But
yeah, the style's really different.
Yeah,
but you're just a hard team to beat. You're a hard team to beat in a very different way than that Colorado team was. But right now, Atlanta United's a very difficult team to beat.
Yeah, so it's just, I mean, you're watching all this get put together. It's got to be tempting. It has to be. There's no way it's not.
I totally agree. Let's take a break. We'll take some questions on a Tuesday Thoughts edition of the show, and it's kind of bled over into an Overreaction Tuesday or Overreaction Monday stuff still on the table. So get your questions in on Twitter at Soccer Down here. Mike Conti will join us at the top of the hour, and we will be right back after this.
Today's show is presented by Appolinsky and Associates, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience, supporters of Atlanta United, Faction, and Inter-Atlanta Youth Football Club. If you've been hurt in a wreck, contact Steve today at steve@aa-legal.com or call in 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
A ranger station.
I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
I put out my campfire and Smokey Bear hugged me.
So you drowned the fire, you stirred it, drowned it again, and felt that it was cold?
Uh-huh.
Yep, he's just letting you know you did good.
Bear hug from Smokey Bear. Status update.
I'm gonna let you go now. There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Every hiring manager knows that a company is only as good as the people it's made from. So where do you find the best people? That may surprise you.
Meet the grads of life. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
This is talent worth knowing about.
Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Welcome back. Soccer Down Here, Pacific special from Vancouver, British Columbia. Now, I'm gonna use that as long as I can because it's just fun to say. Vancouver, British Columbia. I don't get to use that ever, so I'm gonna keep doing it. We'll be same time slot tomorrow, Pacific time slot for you from 12 to 2 Eastern. And then Thursday will be the same slot, but it'll be kind of like Monday's show because we are coming back immediately after the match. So I will be somewhere between asleep and wishing I was asleep and or dead in the morning on Thursday. It might be all of the above. So Thursday show. Yeah. And then I'll have high school state championships on Thursday night too. So that'll be, boy, I will need as much Red Bull as possible for that one. Sheila had a question about the schedule, which is a good question. Why do you think the team is not going straight to New York? Flying back to Atlanta and then to New York a day after is too much for the team. I think if they were flying domestic, I would say so, but they're chartering. So they'll be back in Atlanta first thing Thursday morning and probably some kind of region or something Thursday, which would have been the case anyway. Whether you flew to New York or flew to Atlanta and you get home for a couple days and New York's a short trip. So you will do the region Thursday. You can have a normal session on Friday. You can train Saturday morning before you head to New York on Saturday afternoon or early evening. That's generally how they travel on these trips. So going straight to New York, I don't know if there would have been a great advantage over the charter trip.
Yeah, I don't know enough about it, about the logistics and what they go through physically and all that to really speak on it. So I'll have to take your word on it because it seems kind of weird that they're just coming home first. But again, they're gonna do what they think is right. So I just have to go with what they're saying.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think if you chartered to New York from here, or you'd get there Thursday morning and you would just be eliminating like a 2-hour flight from Atlanta to New York on Saturday. I don't think that would make much of a difference, to be honest. I think being home would be worth that trade-off. So I think getting back to your house and being able to do your thing would be worth that trade-off of that 2-hour flight on Saturday. So question from Bart. Honestly, talking about tomorrow, just send Atlanta United 2. The Red Bulls match is most important because it's a conference match. They're gaining ground. I don't think you want to punt in a game. And I think DeBoer made that clear with his comments Monday before the team headed to Vancouver. You want to keep some continuity. I think look at Toronto, what they did, where they rotated so many players coming to Atlanta, and then they lost the following game because you don't have those little societies that we talk about a lot, or those relationships on the field, those little partnerships in the field. You want those. So even with some rotation against Vancouver and potentially with some against Red Bulls on Sunday, you want to have players next to each other on the field who have played together and work together very well. And if you just rotate everybody, you can wreck all of that for that game, but then also for the next game as well. I think the gradual rotation is the better way to go.
And I have questions about that going into Vancouver about how they're going to handle it and how they're going to line up, because when you look at it, like, how much have some of these young guys played side by side? You know, what are they going to what do they have in terms of, you know, that experience of playing side by side? How's that going to look? I'm not going to sit here and say that DeBoer has no idea what he's doing on that, of course, but I am curious to see, you know, because I'm assuming you're rotating tomorrow night. Who does what? Who lands where? Because I'm genuinely curious what it looks like and how those guys mesh on the field.
Yeah, I don't think you're looking to rotate completely. I think you've got Jeff Lorenowitz who can step straight in for Darlington Nagbe. Okay, veteran. You know what he can do. Everybody knows what he brings to this team. You'd like to keep your center back pairing together if possible, and Miles and LGP would be great to have with Jeff in front of him, because then you've got security. You can bring Breck in on the left, who's played a good bit this year. And on the right side, if you want to give Escobar the night off or less of a night, you could turn to John Gallagher, who has been with the team quite a bit here lately. I think you find your spots to experiment a little bit. And those are going to be the questions for this lineup when you get to tomorrow night at BC Place. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I want to see some new faces and see what they can bring to the table, because this type of schedule, it creates opportunity. And a guy like Gallagher, we've talked about him a lot with the twos. I think he has done everything you have asked him to do. He has embraced a positional change and turned himself into, I think, an MLS player. Let's see when he gets that opportunity if he can deliver. And that opportunity could come either as a starter or a substitute tomorrow night at BC Place. We're going to take a break, come back, reset for hour number 2. Jarrett will still be with us for another half hour. Mike Conti will join us on the other side. We'll get his thoughts and anything else that is on Mike's mind on a Tuesday Thoughts edition of the show. Hang out with us. We'll be right back after this.
As a business owner, you know that every year brings new challenges and opportunities. The success of your business demands expertise and focus. And Country Financial can help you keep that focus by helping ensure you have the right insurance protection in place to meet your goals. Jason Wright can help you create a customized insurance plan that has coverages designed just for your business. Give Jason a call at 678-568-6871 or reach him on Facebook at Jason Wright Agency. Coverages vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Got issues with youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA is a national nonprofit working to transform youth and high school sports so that every child has a positive character-building youth sports experience. PCA provides live and online workshops to train double goal coaches whose first goal is winning and whose second, more important goal is teaching life lessons through sports. PCA also has workshops for parents and high school student athletes. For more information, please visit positivecoach.org.
If you've been hurt in a car wreck, contact my friend Steve Apolinsky of Apolinsky & Associates. He's been representing individuals for over 30 years throughout Georgia and Alabama. Email him at steve@aa-legal.com or call him 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
I adopted Bento in 2010 from a shelter. This cat makes me make art. He's always motivating me to draw pictures of him. He just is motivating artistically. He's my best friend, but a lot of people know him as Keyboard Cat.
Keyboard Cat, YouTube star and shelter pet. Amazing adoption stories start in shelters. Start yours today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you.
Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Soccer Down Here daily on SDH Networks, a division of OSG Sports. Find us at Soccer Down Here on Facebook and Twitter. The time is now the top of the hour. Peep, y'all.
Today's show is presented by Appolinsky & Associates, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience, supporters of Atlanta United, Faction, and Inter-Atlanta Youth Football Club. If you've been hurt in a wreck, contact Steve today at steve@aa-legal.com or call in 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
A ranger station.
I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
I put out my campfire and Smokey Bear hugged me.
So you drowned the fire, you stirred it, drowned it again, and felt that it was cold?
Uh-huh.
Yep, he's just letting you know you did good.
Bear hug from Smokey Bear. Status update.
I'm gonna let you go now. There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency, or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Every hiring manager knows that a company is only as good as the people it's made from. So where do you find the best people? That may surprise you.
Meet the grads of life. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
This is talent worth knowing about.
Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Welcome back. Some technical difficulties. Skype has decided to be very difficult from British Columbia. I don't know why. It's not allowing group calls. So we're going to try one more thing here in a minute. Maybe? I don't know. Like, it's the weirdest thing. Like, all of a sudden, it wants to act differently. I don't know. Welcome to my universe, producing and talking and traveling and all those things that happen all at once, and it's trying to figure the stuff out on the fly. We'll get Mike on in just a minute, but let's talk about the Open Cup just a little bit if you are interested in doing so, because the group,
best competition in American sports, sure, why not?
It is. The third round pairings have been announced, and there's some interesting ones. I think when you start to look ahead at where Atlanta United could slot into this, there's a couple different matchups that I think that winner could face Atlanta United in the fourth round. And the third round's all going to be on May 29th. I think all of them are on May 29th. Yes, they all are. It's not a split. Let's get into first, before we get to the third round pairings, let's get to the matches that will take place tonight. And there's a big one just up the road from you. It's a little bit further away from me right now anyway. In Murfreesboro, Tennessee, Nashville SC hosting South Georgia Tormented 2 at Middle Tennessee State. What do you think about Nashville SC playing a game there first off? And just what do you think about this matchup as a whole?
It makes me so happy. Like, I've got family ties to the entire Middle Tennessee area, and so I have been on the horse for a while. Of y'all put like a USL League One team up there in Murfreesboro or out in McMinnville or something. Now put one in Manchester. Let people go to Bonnaroo, then go to a match. Hold a match in the middle of Bonnaroo. Better yet, I'm excited that they're doing it and that Nashville's branching out, because Nashville being what it is, in terms of the young kind of, you want to call it east of the Mississippi kind of version of Austin, where you've got a lot of, young professionals moving to it, the high millennial population. Well, one of the side effects of that is you got like the bedroom communities really kicking up. So a lot of those smaller towns, you got people moving to. So branch out outside of just downtown Nashville. I like the way they're doing it.
I would not be surprised at all, because when you look ahead at where the winner of this one goes, they will be playing the winner of Charleston at Greenville Triumph. That match is tomorrow. I wouldn't be surprised at all if the winner of that group between those four teams is who Atlanta United faces in the fourth round of the Open Cup.
Yeah, that sounds about right. If we're going geographically, we're going to get tired of playing Charleston. I mean,
I don't know if they get there.
Charleston's probably tired of playing Atlanta if they get there.
Watch out for Greenville. You got a South Carolina derby tomorrow. It's going to be a lot of fun, but how awesome would it be in the year before they come into Major League Soccer to have an Open Cup match that means something with Nashville and Atlanta?
I mean, I'm here for it. Make it happen.
I am very here for it. I think that would be amazing if that's what happens. There's a couple other possibilities for where Atlanta could end up getting drawn with. I think that's the most obvious one. Some of it depends on who comes out of it and where some of these geographic twists and turns can go. The other one that I could see possibly, although I think DC United will get drawn with this one, is tonight in Charlotte, you have the Independents hosting everybody's favorite, the Florida Soccer Soldiers.
Every year you got to have a darling, and you've got one. This is it.
Yep. And that is definitely it this time around. The winner of that one will be facing tomorrow's winner between the Richmond Kickers and North Carolina FC. That old USL rivalry gets renewed tomorrow night in Cary, North Carolina. The winners of those two matches will face off in the third round. I could potentially see that winner drawn with Atlanta United, although, again, I think they will probably go with DC when you start pairing things up geographically.
Yeah, that makes more sense, I think. Still, it'd be fun. There's a lot of different directions you can go with all this, and I'm excited to see how it shakes out. And then, yeah, it also depends on who wins what games. We can sit here and it'd be fun to see this happen. Well, they got to go out there and win the games and do their job. So we'll see what they do.
Yeah, the other matches today. So in the Open Cup, you can watch all these on ESPN Plus. 7 o'clock, Charlotte hosting the Florida Soccer Soldiers. 7 o'clock, Pittsburgh Riverhounds hosting the Dayton Dutch Lions. The Riverhounds, good defensive team. They should be able to get through that, but we'll see. Tampa Bay Rowdies hosting the Villages at Al Lang Stadium. That's a 7 o'clock kick as well. I think the Rowdies get through it. I think the Rowdies are one of the best teams in the USL Championship, but the Villages are riding high after their long penalty kick shootout win in the first round. This is an interesting one to me, Jarrett. Hartford Athletic, who's really struggled in their first year in the USL Championship, they are hosting the New York Cosmos. Now, it is the New York Cosmos B officially because it's the NPSL version of the Cosmos that's getting through, but it's not B. It's the professional New York Cosmos team featuring Danny Zatella and other players that you guys might have heard of. This is one that you could easily see a cup set on paper, but I don't know how much of an upset it would actually be.
Yeah, I was going to ask, how much of a cup set is that?
On paper, with the levels, it's an upset.
Yeah, but on the field, knowing what we know about Hartford, and Hartford is just getting started this year, I don't mean it as a dig at them because they're just trying to put things together from year one, and we've seen how rough that can get sometimes.
Yeah, you could. Our buddy Riley Miletsky of Roots Up picked the Cosmos to pull that upset. He also picks Laredo Heat to pull an upset on San Antonio FC. I'm not so sure on that one. That's a tough ask for Laredo to go into San Antonio and pull that one. That's an 8:30 kick. Other 8:30 kicks, the Nashville Tormenta 2 match from Murfreesboro. Oklahoma City Energy hosting North Texas Rayados, who has made a run in this tournament before. Keep an eye on Rayados, going to John Crane Field at the University of Oklahoma in Norman, Oklahoma. So OKC is going to Norman to play a match. I like that. I like when teams in the Open Cup can go expand their footprint just a bit.
Yeah, and playing out there in just the middle of nowhere, Oklahoma is Norman, just it's fun when you just see these teams and you have to have them go somewhere in the same sense of, could you imagine if Tormenta 2 becomes that darling and makes a run, and then we end up with, hey guys, Atlanta United or Orlando has to go play in Statesboro. Go have fun. Because that's totally a possibility. And hey, someone needs to tell Dion Pereira if he thought like late March in Atlanta was hot, like an early summer afternoon or evening in Statesboro. God, that might kill him. That might actually kill him.
Yeah, I don't know if pleasant would be the word I would use for that. The Eric Winalda Derby is late night tonight, 10:30. 7:30 for me out on the West Coast. Las Vegas Lights hosting Cal FC. Winalda's current club hosting his former club. If you missed it, Junior Sandoval, former Silverback, former Alianza Soccer Club player from Atlanta, Centennial High School player, Georgia Perimeter College player, scored a ridiculous goal for Las Vegas about a week ago, and he's rejoined the Lights. A few other former Silverbacks are with Winalda with the Lights. I think Las Vegas wins that pretty comfortably. No, he is not. He did not return to the Lights this season.
He's kind of vanished.
Yeah, he has. I don't know what's up with that, to be honest. Looking at the round three, so
I'll take the Lights. I'll take the Lights on principle.
Yeah, I think so. Looking at the round three pairings, and there's more matches in the Open Cup tomorrow, and we'll get to those tomorrow along with your results from today. But you could see some pretty tasty matchups in the third round if teams get through. Like you could see Indy 11 and Dayton if that one happens. Two teams that are pretty close geographically. Birmingham Legion, if they get through, they will be paired up with either Louisville City or Reading United. Birmingham went to Louisville and defeated them earlier this season. Can they do it again? That would be interesting. The third round is where you have your play down to get to the MLS teams. Other teams in this neck of the woods, you've got the Rowdies, who would potentially play either OKC Energy or North Texas Rayados if they get past the Villages. You've got Memphis 901, who is the current home of Lagos Kunga. He was loaned from Atlanta United to Memphis for the rest of the season. Opportunity for Lagos, I think, to get a lot of playing time with Memphis, and I think they'll really benefit from him there. Memphis has to beat Red Bulls U23 first off, which won't be easy. And if they do that, then they're drawn with either Hartford Athletic or the Cosmos. Memphis and the Cosmos would be a fun one, and that would be in Memphis if both teams get through. That would be a really good third-round matchup.
Man, give Beale Street a reason to get lit for soccer. That's all I'm asking.
You get the Cosmos coming to town. I mean, you're going to break out all the old Memphis Rogues T-shirts and pennants and old NASL. What was their supporters group? Well, I don't think they were called supporters groups back then. I think they were fan clubs or booster clubs. But they were the Rogue Squadron, which is pretty awesome. I can support this. So the Rogue Squadron can make a comeback for that one against the Cosmos, their old NASL rivals.
I'm here for that.
I can work with this.
I have no opposition.
But look, nothing will beat the final match of the second round. And it is at the Orange County Great Park in Irvine, California. Orange County SC versus Orange County FC tomorrow night, 10:30.
We got a math off. Or, I'm sorry, language off.
SC versus FC, soccer club versus football club. Yeah, that's happening tomorrow. We will update you on the Open Cup tomorrow with all of the results from today, and we'll look at the rest of the games that happen tomorrow. The round 4 draw, do we have a date yet for that? May 30th. So it will be after the third round games are done. So you won't know going into the third round, okay, it could be here, it could be here, it could be this team or that team, depending on who wins. The draw where Atlanta United finds out their opponent will be on May 30th, after the third round games are completed. We're going to take a break.
Always right with the world.
Yeah. We're going to see if we can get Mike Conti on the line, since Skype wants to be very difficult today. And we'll make an effort there, and otherwise it'll just be me and Jarrett for just a little bit as we finish up, since Jarrett's taking a lunch break with us today. Because it's one of those crazy days with the time slot.
That's what we do.
That's what we do. We try to do it anyway. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back after this.
Today's show is presented by Appolinsky & Associates, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience, supporters of Atlanta United, Faction, and Inter-Atlanta Youth Football Club. If you've been hurt in a wreck, contact Steve today at steve@aa-legal.com or call in 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
A ranger station.
I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
I put out my campfire and Smokey Bear hugged me.
So you drowned the fire, you stirred it, drowned it again, and felt that it was cold?
Uh-huh.
Yep, he's just letting you know you did good.
Bear hug from Smokey Bear. Status update.
I'm gonna let you go now. There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service Ad Council and your state forester.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Every hiring manager knows that a company is only as good as the people it's made from. So where do you find the best people? That may surprise you.
Meet the grads of life. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
This is talent worth knowing about.
Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
And we're back. Soccer down here. Group calling seems to be something that Skype has outlawed at this point. I have no idea why.
In Canada.
Yeah, maybe it's a Canadian thing. I don't know. But it's like you try to do it and it just sits there and spins and spins and spins and it won't happen. So I don't know why. But we will have something with Mike here in a bit. Either grab him to hop on with John here at the end of the show, or Mike and I will give you some thoughts as we look ahead to tomorrow. As we have a lot of time to kill in Vancouver today, I will probably be resting a good bit because if you can't tell from my voice, I'm not sure how it's actually sounding. My sinuses and allergies are hitting me at the absolute worst time. So I am trying to grind out results as best I can.
Hey, it's, you know what? Sometimes you got to park the bus in life.
That's what I kind of feel like right now. I feel like I've turned straight up Jose Mourinho. All right, just try to keep everything moving along.
Just keep everything safe in front of you.
Just keep it in front of me. Just play safe. Okay, so a lot of people liked our very informal Monday show. I don't know if we can replicate it because I was clinically insane at that point. But
we were gathered around a phone like a campfire, and you can hear the whirling of the servers in the background in the studio.
Yes, it was something. It was entertaining though, and we'll do some more stuff like that are more informal and silly and fun. We'll try to add some of those in now that we're doing all kinds of little extra shows and stuff. But yeah, that was an easy way to take care of things with the travel schedule this week, which is a little challenging. I wanted to get into something else with you, Jarrett, before you have to take off and go back to work and stuff because it's a thing. Did you see yesterday? Jeff Carlisle had the article over at ESPN about the USL proposing a rule change regarding concussions.
I did, and I didn't get a chance to read it. But I know people were excited.
Yeah, it's similar to what we've talked about. They are aiming to have this rule in place in the championship and in League One, assuming that IFAB, the International Football Association Board, allows them to do it. They want to have this in place for 2020. And what they would do is the rule as proposed would work in the following manner. If a player on a team suffers a head injury during a match, the team can use a temporary substitute to take his or her place. This would allow for the injured player to be properly assessed without forcing his or her team to play shorthanded. The substitution can take place even if the team has used all of their allotted substitutions. If the injured player is deemed healthy enough to continue, they re-enter in place of the injury substitute. If not, the injury sub stays on the field and is made permanent. So all that sounds great to me. The question would be, how do you prevent managers from gaming the system?
That was going to be my question to you. How do I prevent? I need to make a sub. Hey, you, go hit your head on something real quick. Don't do it hard. Do it hard enough that it's believable.
Yeah, it's really tricky. And I love that the USL is trying to do this. And I love that they are at the forefront of trying to solve it. But that's a tough one because I don't know if, especially when you talk about USL League One, I don't know if clubs are going to be willing to budget paying for independent medical personnel to approve that temporary substitution. Jake Edwards, the president of USL, said, I think there would be a cross-off period. You can't have it be 15, 20 minutes. I think something in the 10-minute range would be a good cutoff. We'd like to make a diagnosis between 7 and 10 minutes. We're certainly going to look at that. That's great, but how are you going to prevent managers from doing what you just said? Like, hey, we're at the end of the game. We're out of subs. You just went up for a header and maybe there was contact. Maybe there wasn't. Stay down so you can come out and catch your breath and somebody else can replace you for a little bit. Without an independent medical, professional there to make that decision, it feels like it could be abused.
What if you did it in a sense where you could, where there was like a designated player who is that person who comes in and subs? That way you don't leave it up to the manager in question to pick his sub. That way, you don't have, okay, we need another defender on the field. Some attacker go lay down and I can put a defensive sub in. Do you have like a designated guy or two, or do you give a list at the beginning of the game?
That's tough. Edwards said,
do you leave it up to a neutral party to pick a like? Do you make them do okay, that person is out. The person you're going to put in is as much of a like for like as possible.
So Edwards has talked a little bit about the neutrality side of it, and so is Taylor Twellman. And look, this isn't just a knee-jerk thing either. USL has been talking about this for a couple of years. They were involved in a symposium on head injuries conducted by the U.S. Soccer Federation and MLS, and Twellman was one of the speakers there. They've been working towards this for a little while, but there's still some of these questions. Twellman said you want the team doctors and a neutral doctor involved. You don't just want the neutral doctor to make the decision. I somewhat get it. It's tricky. Like Edwards says that most USL teams have partnerships with local medical providers rather than full-time medical staff. But they're still paying for it, and even if it's okay, you work out a partnership with a local sports medicine company, you're still paying them to be there. Maybe they're not on your staff exactly, but they kind of still are. So they are still a little compromised in making those decisions. I want to see how they address that one aspect of it. That's the only thing I really have to question it. Otherwise, I think it's a great idea that they're trying to step out and do something. And remember, USL was the test case for VAR. That's where it started, was in USL for the first season to test it before MLS implemented it.
And I'm okay with this. I'm okay with us having to ask these questions. That's not a problem at all, is to say, okay, well, they're going to do it. Okay, well, what about this? What about this? Okay, that's fine. You got to start asking those questions, but you need to start taking a step forward so we can ask these questions. It's part of experimentation, and it's part of, just doing a scientific method. I mean, let's Let's do something. Okay, what do we need to fix about that? Then we fix it. Okay, what do we like about that? Then we like that we want to keep that. I mean, but you can't just put it across the board and expect it to work all the time. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But you want to look at it and say, hey, we did these things in a live environment, and these were the results we had. And we can go based on that.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing here is, okay, we're concerned about managers potentially gaming the system. Okay, if they try to do it, now we're going to have some actual data on, well, how can they do it? Could the fourth official be involved in saying, well, nothing happened with that player? Like, that's going to be hard because concussions or head injuries you don't get a concussion always just from contact. You can get it from a whiplash situation as well. So it's very tricky, but I do like that they're trying. And I like that USL is putting themselves out there as that guinea pig in a lot of ways to try to figure out, okay, everybody keeps coming up with reasons why we can't do it. Let's try it and let's figure out if it works or not and what does work and what doesn't work.
We'll have to see where it settles up, but it's a good thing for them to be working in this direction now. And I'd like to see when it's implemented, what the early results are, and then, a year down the road, what are the results a year down the road beyond just those early returns. And USL's got enough things going on, considering you're about to unload a bunch of U.S. Open Cup madness on everybody aside from this.
Yeah, there's that. It's USL is in a really interesting spot right now. And I do like that they are trying some things, but their league, I think there's a lot of questions about the championship and what happens with it, with two teams in it, and how is that going over with independent teams? Are they happy with it? Are they not happy with it? USL League One starting to grow. You want to be competitive. You want to be competitive in the Open Cup. We'll see how the USL teams as a whole do this time around. USL League Two continues to be a very important piece. There's a lot going on, and you hope that they can do this in the right way. That's the only thing I worry about, them maybe extending themselves a little bit too far. I hope they can put the right time to this and really make, I think, some big progress that the game needs. Because if we just keep sticking our head in the sand about concussions and the damage that they can do to the game, somebody's going to get seriously hurt if they haven't, already. I mean, we've seen long-term damage, so I'm talking about in a match.
Yeah, we saw it with Tormenta when they played a couple weeks ago in Florida, where you saw a guy carted off the field. I mean, concussions are a thing that should be taken very seriously in the sport, and their willingness to take this a step further is important to well-being, and I think it should be a comforting thing for some of the players. Right before I jump off, I'm going to open up a rat's nest on you.
Go for it.
Because it's so great that USL is in this spot. Go back like 10 years. Go back however many years you want. Man, could you imagine if USL had, if the roles are switched and it's not USL that plays nice with the league as it's growing and it's an ASL instead? What does it all look like if they don't try and go square up with MLS?
What, USL going at MLS?
Yeah, and if it's NASL who says, yeah, sure, we'll partner up.
Oh, yeah, well, that's a deep, deep rabbit hole. If the North American Soccer League had actually did what they were about to do before the Cosmos came in, because they were about to announce a partnership with MLS. I don't know if you remember that.
Vaguely.
They were like, it was ready to go. Partnership, just like USL and MLS created. North American Soccer League was about to do that. Then the Cosmos deal happened, and that was completely off the table. And then it's, no, we don't want to partner with you. We want to fight you about everything possible. And USL stepped in and said, we will partner. And now USL has grown in a massive, massive way, I think, and at least in part due to that partnership.
In part due to the partnership, and in part also because I think they've been willing to break the mold a couple times and be able to kind of step outside their comfort zone and do some creative things. And, like this concussion situation, like being the guinea pig for VAR and being willing to be the guinea pig and to get out of their comfort level. I think that's helped them grow into what they become. And it's awesome to see. It'll be awesome to see where they are 5 years down the road compared to where they were 5 years ago.
Yeah, I think they'll be much, much further along. All right, we'll take a break so you can go back to work. Thanks for hopping on during your lunch break, I guess from the car.
Yeah, that's fine.
We appreciate it.
It was all over the place. That's fine.
Oh, well, that's good. Well, we will be talking to you tomorrow as we get ready for Vancouver tomorrow night. But thanks, Jarrett.
Absolutely.
And we're going to take a break right here. We'll be back after this.
As a business owner, you know that every year brings new challenges and opportunities. The success of your business demands expertise and focus. And Country Financial can help you keep that focus by helping ensure you have the right insurance protection in place to meet your goals. Jason Wright can help you create a customized insurance plan that has coverages designed just for your business. Give Jason a call at 678-568-6871 or reach him on Facebook at Jason Wright Agency. Coverages vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Got issues with youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA is a national nonprofit working to transform youth and high school sports so that every child has a positive character-building youth sports experience. PCA provides live and online workshops to train double goal coaches whose first goal is winning and whose second, more important goal is teaching life lessons through sports. PCA also has workshops for parents and high school student athletes. For more information, please visit positivecoach.org.
If you've been hurt in a car wreck, contact my friend Steve Apolinsky of Apolinsky & Associates. He's been representing individuals for over 30 years throughout Georgia and Alabama. Email him at steve@aa-legal.com or call him 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
I adopted Bento in 2010 from a shelter. This cat makes me make art. He's always motivating me to draw pictures of him. He just is motivating artistically. He's my best friend, but a lot of people know him as Keyboard Cat.
Keyboard Cat, YouTube star and shelter pet. Amazing adoption stories start in shelters. Start yours today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you.
Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
All right, welcome back. Soccer Down here, May 14th from Vancouver, British Columbia. And since Skype doesn't want to cooperate, we'll just do this old school style and talk into a laptop, myself and Mike Conti.
It's funny. I was, first of all, am I audible? It looks like the meter is okay.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
Oh, I knew I didn't have to move the computer too close.
It's funny. Well, yeah, no, trust me, my voice carries. It's probably better we do it this way. Because for our listeners, I went down to the lobby of the hotel we're staying at because I thought, all right, if I want to hear John and Jared and Jason, we've tried it before where we share headphones. It just doesn't work. You get feedback. So I went down to the lobby thinking, okay, we're just going to do it this way. And then I realized my voice is really going to carry across the lobby. And there are a lot of guys at the team down there. So if I say something that, someone on the team doesn't like the big polar bear goalkeeper we have, could be bad. So it probably works out better this way.
That's somebody that I don't want to anger.
No, it would take a lot to get him angry.
He's
probably one of the nicest guys on the team. So if you've angered him, you've done something really wrong.
Yeah, that's actually
really
a good question. We'll have to ask him at some point. Maybe not in a post game, but next chance we get to do a little podcast with Brad. When was the angriest you've been on the field?
Oh, boy. Well, it's funny because we're podcasting, right? Is this going on Coastal or?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'll pull back because, Brad has been picked up by the parabolic microphones on the field talking about what I can only assume is one of his favorite restaurants. In Lakeland, Florida, there's a restaurant called the FOO King. It's an Asian restaurant.
Oh, okay.
So he yells a lot about the FOO King. Okay. I'm assuming that's what he's talking about, right?
It's a good sponsorship.
Yeah, right. That's a real restaurant, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, it's ingenious, right? It's a viral name. Good. Viral name. Anyhow, so that would be a good question. Brad's here in Vancouver. I know there's been a lot of talk about rotation. You're not going to rotate the goalkeeper.
I don't think so.
You don't need to.
Nah.
But, I do think it will probably go beyond Parkhurst and Nagbe, who we know are not here. That's been publicized. So, interesting match tomorrow because Vancouver quietly, very under the radar, has been one of the better teams in the league over the last month and a half. They've earned 11 points over their last 6 matches, which actually is behind, I think, only Atlanta, New York City, and Philadelphia, and LAFC.
That's right.
That's kind of amazing if you think about it.
Yeah.
And they're coming off a 1-0 win over Portland at home on Friday. They've had a couple extra days of rest, and they didn't have to travel. So it's going to be a fun match tomorrow night, I think.
Yeah, 1 loss in their last 5. Vancouver's an interesting team. It's Mark Dos Santos' first year. Carl Robinson, I always felt like they had more talent than they delivered on in terms of points and things. I could never quite figure out where Robinson was wanting to take the team. Dos Santos is a manager that was very highly regarded. He won the North American Soccer League in 2017 with the San Francisco Deltas, a first-year team. He was on Bob Bradley's staff last year with LAFC. He's been in USL, and he's been on MLS staffs before. A guy that you knew was going to get a head coaching opportunity. You knew he was going to get this opportunity. I still don't really know what his Vancouver Whitecaps are going to be yet. They're a weird team to break down.
Well, quite frankly, they hit the reset button in the offseason, didn't they? I mean, they sent half their team to Colorado. That
was a good move.
They sent their best player to Germany, which, by the way, if we're going to talk about Atlanta United and the achievement that they had in selling Almiron, you have to tip your cap to Vancouver, nurturing Alphonso Davies enough where you're able to get that high price tag to send him off to Germany. But they are a little bit of a mystery. They haven't really been great at home. They're 2-2-0 at home this year. Not bad, not great. They've dropped points at home. To me, I think this is kind of a get whatever you can get week for Atlanta United. They put in the work getting a 9-point week against SKC, Toronto, and Orlando. If you can get 4 points out of this week, awesome. If you get 3 points out of this week, I'm good. If you get 2 points out of this week, I'm good. The debate that we've had is, where is it better to rotate? Is it tomorrow night or is it in New York? I feel like against a pressing team, you want to have fresh legs. Mm-hmm. So maybe you look a little more first choice on Sunday, trying to get a point out of that match at Red Bulls. But then again, I think even with rotation, here's a real opportunity now for, let's assume Eric Remedi and Jeff Lorenowitz are your midfield if Nagbe's not going to play. Breck Shea, let's say he's your starting left back going against his former team. I think that's a lock.
That's a pretty definite.
Really good opportunity now for a guy like Breck Shea, a guy like Dion Pereira potentially, certainly a guy like Justin Miram, who I think is going to start a match this week. Really good opportunities here, and I think that's what's exciting and why I've seen a couple people tweet that they're going to kind of check out on this match because it starts too late on a weeknight. To me, I think this is where things get really interesting. When you have an opportunity to see some guys that you haven't seen a lot of this year who have a ton of potential getting a league game. And as we know, 5 stripes after dark on the West Coast,
boy.
Any wacky, zany things can happen, right?
That was definitely wacky and zany in San Jose last year. Looking at how these 2 games play out, you leave Parkhurst and Nagbe home. You need them on Sunday to deal with the Red Bulls press. It makes total sense for those 2 to be fresh for that one. I think maybe that gives you a hint at how tomorrow night could be handled because of the threat that Ali Adnan gives Vancouver.
Going forward.
Yeah, you want your best defensive right back in this match. I think it's Franco Escobar. So I think he does play, at least to start in this one, to deal with Adnan. I think you could see a situation at Red Bull Arena where, Escobar's going to need a break. Mm-hmm. Maybe he sits that one out to start. Parkhurst is your right back. And if Mikey Ambrose keeps coming along, his technique, his technical ability and passing out of the back gives you the left back option in New York.
Yeah. Now, the other thing you could do, and I understand what you're saying with Adnan, you got to get John Gallagher some MLS time.
Yeah, I don't know if it's against Ali Adnan.
Yeah, that's the problem, though. But, like, if you could get him 30 minutes, I would love that. Or even 15 minutes. Or, yes.
Now, you could play him on the right wing.
Yeah.
And that would, again, if you're thinking about Ali Adnan and a little worried about him, having Escobar and Gallagher, who are very interchangeable on that side, to where they can both kind of deal with him, that's not a bad play.
Yeah. Again, just from the standpoint of, I think you're going to need him sooner rather than later. Now, then again, if you look at your international call-ups, the only guy on that back line who might be called up now is Miles Robinson.
Right, and that's a long shot.
And yeah, it shouldn't be, but it is. So, maybe then long-term, big picture, there's less urgency to get John Gallagher a game. I'm just thinking short-term, this 3-match road trip. Vancouver, Red Bulls, and RSL. You'd like to get him in there somehow. It's just been unfortunate. I mean, they put him in the 18, which means they feel like he's ready to go. But I think, in fact, I'll make a wager. I think you're more likely to see Florentine Pogba play tomorrow night than John Gallagher.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think you need Escobar 1v1 with Adnan.
Yeah, and I think you only have 2 players, outfield players, who have played every minute of every match this year, who've played 900 minutes in the 10 matches. Leandro Gonzalez-Perez and Miles Robinson. Now, Miles is a young guy. It's not like he needs to wrap himself in a blanket and get into the recuperative chair and do what all the 36-year-old players across the league are doing. But you don't want to completely wear him out either. And I think same for LGP. He's not an old guy either. He's 25, 26. So, it's not like you're overly concerned about it, but I think you have to take a somewhat responsible approach. And for Pogba, look, I mean, you got to give him an opportunity. He has struggled when we've seen him in USL.
But he's struggled putting together long stretches. I think that's what's been interesting about him. Like, for short periods of time, he's looked good. When he gets past 45, it's been a little bit of a concern. Now, it's been a minute since we've seen him there, so maybe he's past that a bit. And if he's been training with the first team, traveling with the first team, maybe he's past that, and he can give you 45 to 60 tomorrow. And if you can buy either Miles or Leandro most of the night off, that's not a bad play. If you basically tell Florentine, okay, give me 60, and you don't have to finish it, don't conserve anything, don't think about it, play, but I'm going to pull you at 60 minutes. Maybe that's the best way to get something out of him.
Could be. But again, here is the intrigue of the week, and we can talk all about Vancouver and Red Bulls, but this is a real chance for Atlanta United to evolve a little bit and show the depth that we know they have. Finally, aside from George Bello, you're at a point in the season right now where you've got all hands on deck. Let's see it. Because you're going to have to see it in late May and through Open Cup and into the first couple matches in June. Tito got called into the 40 for Paraguay. Yeah. He's almost certainly going to be on their final roster.
I would think so. Joseph definitely with Venezuela. Yeah, there's no question there.
Pitti, I'm not sure. But
Pitti, there should be an announcement tomorrow is what the latest out of Argentina is saying, that Lionel Scaloni will announce his squad for the Copa America. The preliminary squad that was leaked last week did not have Pity Martinez on it.
Right.
So I know he wants to be there, and we'd all love to see him there. For Atlanta United, that might not necessarily be a bad thing if he sticks around.
It's a good thing if he goes. It's a good thing if he stays.
Yeah, you make the best of it either way. But, I mean, for him to not have that travel and continue to settle, you'll have Barco back by that point, too, because he will be out up until the international break. The last group stage game at the U20 World Cup is the 31st, I believe. And then the final is like the 12th or so of June or 14th. So he'll be back for the Toronto match after the break.
I think I saw he scored today, as a matter of fact.
They play a friendly?
Yeah, they're playing a friendly in Valencia.
Yep.
And he scored in the 36th minute. I don't know who they're playing. But Barco did score in their friendly today. It evened the match at 1, whoever they're playing, and it was at Valencia. So Good to see. Just good to see him in the shirt.
Absolutely.
You know, there's a still photograph of him celebrating the goal, and to see him in that shirt, it kind of gives you goosebumps a little bit that we're talking about MLS players and players on our team playing for Argentina. It's awesome.
We're talking about a guy who going into the South American U20 Championship, which is a big tournament in South America, he was looked at as the guy for this team, not just making up the numbers, but the guy for Argentina coming in. So they played Villarreal's second team.
Okay.
And Argentina ended up winning 3-1 in their first friendly ahead of the U20 World Cup. Barco was one of the goal scorers. So very cool to see. Barco's going to go in and be a big focal point of that team. It's a big opportunity to make his name on the international stage.
I mean, I don't want to speculate, but if he is scoring in the 36th minute, that tells me that he's looked at as a starter right now.
He's easily a starter.
At least for the purposes of this friendly, if not beyond.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question. Unless things go really badly in friendlies, I think he's starting, and he's one of the key figures of that team.
Yeah.
It's a big deal. We had a question from Shiva, and we're going to get to that after the break in the final segment. We're going to get to the Colonel's thoughts as well.
Oh, good.
So hang out with us. We'll be right back after this.
As a business owner, you know that every year brings new challenges and opportunities. The success of your business demands expertise and focus. And Country Financial can help you keep that focus by helping ensure you have the right insurance protection in place to meet your goals. Jason Wright can help you create a customized insurance plan that has coverages designed just for your business. Give Jason a call at 678-568-6871 or reach him on Facebook at Jason Wright Agency. Coverages vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Got issues with youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA is a national nonprofit working to transform youth and high school sports so that every child has a positive character-building youth sports experience. PCA provides live and online workshops to train double goal coaches whose first goal is winning and whose second, more important goal is teaching life lessons through sports. PCA also has workshops for parents and high school student athletes. For more information, please visit positivecoach.org.
If you've been hurt in a car wreck, contact my friend Steve Apolinsky of Apolinsky & Associates. He's been representing individuals for over 30 years throughout Georgia and Alabama. Email him at steve@aa-legal.com or call him 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
I adopted Bento in 2010 from a shelter. This cat makes me make art. He's always motivating me to draw pictures of him. He just is motivating artistically. He's my best friend, but a lot of people know him as Keyboard Cat.
Keyboard Cat, YouTube star and shelter pet. Amazing adoption stories start in shelters. Start yours today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back. Final segment, Soccer Down here on the Pacific time slot here on a Tuesday. We'll be in the same time slot tomorrow, noon to 2 Eastern time, 9 to 11 Pacific time, if you're getting ready for Atlanta and Vancouver. I saw Doug mention, are there any Atlanta fans coming out for this one, being in a midweek and on a Wednesday, and it's a pretty long trip. We have seen a few folks in Atlanta gear.
Yeah, saw 3 of them out in the lobby last night. I think they were eavesdropping on my phone call with my wife. I don't know if they're locals or not. But when we got off the bus, I mean, there were some people asking Pitsy for some autographs.
Yeah, and they were in Atlanta United gear. They were not in River Plate gear.
Exactly. Now, sometimes that does happen when we're in other cities. You'll see people in River shirts. But, I mean, look, it is what it is. It's midweek. It would be tough to draw a – I don't know what Vancouver's listed capacity is at BC Place. I think it's in the neighborhood of like 28,000, 30,000. That would be hard, even on a weekend, to kind of fill that. But I've heard some people from Resurgence are out here. Doug's flying out right now, so I guess we'll get a report from him on how many people are on his flight. It's a great trip.
Yeah.
It's just the problem is when you play it on a Wednesday night, you need to take the week off, and that's tough.
Yeah, it can be a challenge. So I'm not expecting a huge contingent, but we are expecting a few.
Yeah.
Atlanta's kind of becoming that national brand a little bit.
Little bit, yeah. I mean, I think when you have Atlanta and Galaxy and probably DC because of Rooney, when those teams are coming, that's going to be a big home match. And it's fun to be on that side of it, where people are coming out to see you, even in Canada.
Yeah, absolutely. The Colonel says, hey, squad rotation does not mean expect less than 6 points. The squad was built to rotate through a CONCACAF Champions League.
Frank said that, by the way.
Yeah, that's true.
That's exactly what he said. He said, look, I mean, we're the champions, so we should not expect to just concede points.
Yep.
That is absolutely right. I'm not saying that because you're rotating, you're going to draw or lose. I'm saying with what you accomplished over the last week, if you only get 2, 3, or 4 points out of this week, it's not a bad week.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
But I'm not saying that you have the justification to not earn a point this week because you rotated. That's not what I'm saying.
You don't come in trying to keep the damage down, or you don't come in playing for a draw.
Right.
You come into play.
Which is what, frankly, I think Orlando was doing on Sunday in Atlanta.
That's what Toronto did Wednesday in a lot of ways, too. And I totally agree with what Frank said yesterday at training. And Shiva has a question about something that was said after the match. We'll get to that in a second. But yesterday, he talked about the value of a draw. And I think somebody asked him, basically, is a draw okay on Wednesday night? And paraphrasing, I mean, he basically said, it depends on the draw. If it's a draw where we play well and we earn a point, we earn a point. That's a good draw. If it's a draw where we play badly, no, I don't want that.
Look at Atlanta United's 2 draws this year. Cincinnati was a draw that felt like a loss. Philadelphia was a draw that felt like a draw.
Yeah.
Because you got the late goal to pull it back, and Philly's looking way better than we thought they were at the time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we've done games, Jason, where you get a draw that feels like a win. Up at Yankee Stadium last year, that was a draw that felt like a win. So Frank is totally right. A draw has a different feel depending on how the match plays out.
We've talked about this, and I hope people are paying attention to the press conferences after games and the media availabilities that Frank is giving to the local media. The more he talks, the more I really like what he's saying, and I love the way that he looks at the game. It is a little bit different perspective, and I think he is really opening up and giving you a little bit of just an insight into the way he sees the game.
It's very pragmatic, isn't it? It's very common sense.
Yeah, not in a negative way.
No.
Pragmatic's an interesting word in soccer. A lot of people look at it as a bad word. As a defensive thing. No. And I don't think that's the case.
No.
I'd agree. Pragmatic's a good way to put it.
Completely. Pragmatic to me means common sense.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I appreciate about what Frank has been saying. He hasn't said anything after any match this year that hasn't been rooted in common sense, even if it's not what your fans want to hear. He's not afraid to say it and tell it like it is. And that gets to Shiva's question about what he said after the Orlando match on Sunday.
Yeah, so Shiva asked the question because we didn't get a chance to have the post-match audio. There were some technical difficulties on Sunday in the stadium. I think even in the room it was a little difficult. So we didn't get a chance to talk about it on the full-time report. Shiva said he was more focused on players being too confident rather than tired legs in the Orlando match, and Shiva wasn't quite sure what he was getting at.
So here's from Chris Furmeister, Pro Soccer USA. I'm taking the quote out of his article, and this is Frank de Boer. Quote, I said at halftime, the only time we gave chances away, we were overconfident. We were sloppy, and we have to get that out of our system. We played very well, but only those moments where you think, okay, I can do that or just turn around. We have to avoid those kind of mistakes because something can change the game, and we don't want that, of course. He went on to say, quote, we were good in the game, but sometimes we were too sloppy and overconfident. We have to realize you have to play with confidence, but not to make that silly mistake. And he went on to say how when you make some of the silly mistakes that they made against Orlando, you can get punished. They didn't get punished on Sunday, but the next time they do it, they will be punished. This is something that we talked about off the air on Sunday, but something that I really am starting to like about Frank de Boer. You've had a 4-match win streak. You've taken 3 points in 5 of your last 6 matches. You are the hottest team in the league right now. And you're taking the opportunity after a win to send a message to your club that this is not fully acceptable. I love that. I love that. And I love that he is at the point now where he feels like he can do that. Mm-hmm. If they were in similar form in March, I don't know if he would feel like he could do that.
No.
Because he wouldn't have, at that time, 2 months into it with this club, maybe enough of a feel of what he's working with. So to me, to Shiva's point, for him to make a comment like that and use the media as a vehicle to express himself, as all coaches do, I love it. I think it speaks to how he feels like not only he has control and command of this dressing room, but that he also has the respect to be listened to.
Right. And look, I think the truth is probably somewhere in between. And you're not going to come out in that situation and say, yeah, all the sloppiness, it was just down to tired legs, so it's all good. Because you're going to have tired legs. You have to learn how to play with tired legs. And you have to manage that overconfidence. I think he's dead on, because you know you're not sharp. You know you're not 100%. And especially after a couple of giveaways trying to play out of the back where you're not sharp. Okay, then you have to make a decision and you have to change it. And it shouldn't be the manager yelling at a bunch of professionals to, okay, don't do that anymore. Like, they have to know and adjust. And I think that's what he's getting at. He's trying to have them take ownership of it. All right, you don't have the sharpness. You don't have the legs right now to build out of the back. They're fresher than you are. They didn't play in midweek. You did. Play more direct. Mm-hmm. Play simple. Mm-hmm. Don't lose the ball in your own half. Don't lose the ball outside of your 18. And that's what you take that as a learning lesson. It's always better to have those after a win.
Now, on the same token, in my opinion, I'm not sure you can blame the sloppiness on overconfidence. Obviously, Frank sensed that, and that's why he said it. But I do think fatigue was a factor. I think it would be demeaning to your team to not at least concede that the legs were getting very, very heavy, especially in the second half.
And I think it's both, because, yes, it's a fact that you were tired, but your overconfidence was trying to play the same way tired.
Right.
And that's the issue. Once you know you're tired and you know you're not sharp, you can't, that still doesn't allow you to lose the ball and then have the goal not count. You know, like, you know you're tired, so you have to change the way you play. You can't be too overconfident in, all right, I'm still able to do this. No, you're not, because your legs are heavy and you want to go sit down because you're tired. So play simpler. Play more direct, put the ball in their half, and let them try to build something up. Those types of little things, but this is the best time to learn it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, it's starting to really work right now. We're in a very good spot as far as being an observer of this club, a supporter of this club. I'll say again, I mean, if that Columbus match is not played or is stopped or resumed or played on a true pitch, if you look at Columbus's form and Atlanta's form right now, that's not going to be a 2-0 loss again.
No.
Okay? So if we want to throw that out, if you look at how they have played since CONCACAF Champions League, since the draw against Philadelphia, this team's as good as anyone in MLS right now. They really are. And the 2-1 loss they had at home to Dallas, which a lot of people freaked out over, you played well in that match. Mm-hmm. The expected goals are the expected goals. Dallas got the early goal and went into time wasting. But I'm telling you, I mean, I know 5-3-2 doesn't look extremely pretty right now. This is really a very, very good team, and they're getting better, which is very, very encouraging to see, because last year's team that won the MLS Cup, this was about the point in the season where they started coming back down to earth a little bit. You'll remember they had the embarrassment in Houston, then they snapped off a bunch of wins in a row, and then SKC, Red Bulls, New England, a draw that felt like, I mean, they played well, but it was a draw that you were dissatisfied.
You didn't put it away.
Crashed out of Open Cup. Blew it in Dallas. So this was the point of the season last year where things started to wobble. And I like the fact that maybe you got your wobble out of the way this year very, very early.
You build. You've been building to where you are now. And I think what people have to go back and look at are the comments that Frank said after the Monterey second leg and after, I think, the Philadelphia game as well. Like, he had not had a chance to really train the team up until that international break. And then even then, you were going to be missing some pieces. Right. You have the Columbus game, but then you had another 2 weeks where you were going to get to really train. And it was an opportunity, I think, to add so many of these different layers that we're seeing play out now, where they can win a game like the Toronto one where they don't dominate possession, where they can win a game where they dominate possession, where they can limit chances for the opposition, where they can incorporate wrinkles and different things, where they can start to press a little bit more, find the space between the lines. All the little things that we're seeing play out right now really were implemented in that month around the Columbus game.
Yeah.
And the teams look completely different ever since.
I equate it to, as a simile, someone who's going through culinary school, who went to culinary school with really no ability to cook whatsoever. So the first thing they teach you in culinary school basically is how to use a knife.
Right.
And the first couple times you use a knife, you end up cutting yourself.
Yes.
But slowly you learn how to, skin a fish and debone a ham. And next thing you know now, you're starting to get a little bit more nimble with your knife where you're incorporating elements of your own style. Maybe you've invented a certain way how to, cut a pork loin or something like that. And it kind of goes on and on from there. And you build more confidence and you develop more nuance, more skill. And before you know it, you've gone from someone who nearly cut his pinky off to someone with knife skills that'll put you in a 5-star restaurant. That's a weird analogy, but it kind of feels that way. It feels like every match we have seen since, I'll even say Cincinnati. Since Cincinnati, I feel like we've seen a new element, a new little wrinkle, a new little piece of nuance added to this team. And it's a testament to the technical staff. It's a testament to the players to taking the instruction. But again, I think above anything else, it's a testament to this team getting healthy.
That too.
I mean, people made fun of Frank when he was talking, and reporters who cover this team had even made light of the fact that, well, there's no way Franco Escobar can be that important.
Yes, he can.
Yes, he is.
Yep.
I mean, Frank basically said that he was kind of the keystone to their entire plan for this season. Well, look at how much better they've played with him now. Mm-hmm. Look at how much better you're playing with Pitti at full fitness and full health. The one missing piece is still Bello, but you've been able to survive that because Brek Shea and Michael Parkhurst has been versatile, and Shea has been more than serviceable. That's it. People wanted to just kind of look past all the injuries and kill this team in late February and early March, and it's turning out that was not correct.
Your Le Cordon Bleu analogy is dead on, because the part where you said that they're incorporating their own style into it, once they learn the skills and then they can play, they can be themselves a little bit more. That's what this team has gone through. And it's what any good manager wants his team to do, because you come in, every manager has an idea of how they want to play. Every manager has certain philosophies, certain principles of play that they subscribe to, and that's what they're going to do. Pep Guardiola at Barcelona was very specific. When he went to Bayern, I think in some ways he thought he could just replicate Barcelona there. Doesn't work with the squad he had, with the players he had. He didn't have a Lionel Messi. And I mean, it was kind of a joke, but kind of true that everything worked at Barcelona because at the end of the day, you could give the ball to Messi and he's going to solve it for you and score a goal.
Right.
You didn't have that at Bayern. So he had to find other ways to play and incorporate his principles and teach the game the way he wants, but also learn a little from the players and bring a little bit of their personal styles into it. And hey, Arjen Robben is a great 1v1 player. Franck Ribéry, great 1v1 player. Let's try to get them in places where they can do that. He goes to Manchester City. Same thing. Those three leagues play differently. The players who come up in those leagues have different personalities. They have different bits of flair that they want to add to what they're doing. So you have to take your principles and then mold them to the squad that you have. It takes time. Right. You got to learn from each other. And I think the squad now, look at the game, I think the last couple of games, there's a lot of things in it that look like we've seen Atlanta United look in the past, especially in the attack. But also you're seeing Pity Martinez add who he is into the mix. He's different than Miguel. He's a different player. But he's able to be, I think, a little more confident in being himself in this team. And the possession in the final third, for the people who said it was slow and ponderous and sideways, it's really not.
Yeah.
I thought against Orlando at times it was too vertical and too rushed.
Yeah.
But you're finding it as a group.
And not to mention, I think now you've got the 2017-18 iteration of Atlanta United adding a best 11 center back.
Yeah.
You know, so that's what I get really excited about is I'm seeing all the hallmarks, all the elements of what we liked to see last year when you won Cup. Mm-hmm. But now you've added a best 11 center back.
You're seeing,
out of your own system, by the way.
You're seeing the combination of how this team looked at times in 17 where they were unplayable and just overpowering. At times in 18 where they just controlled matches and limited the opposition's chances and just gave them nothing. You're seeing a little bit of both molded together because you didn't see both at the same time in previous years. Now you're seeing games where they look great going forward, but they're not giving the opposition anything. The opposition can't get a shot on goal. It's a really different, not that different, but it's a different level of control that I think this team has. So it's very cool to watch this play out, and I think there's more layers to add as we go. But we'll be talking about those tomorrow. So tomorrow, noon Eastern, 9 Pacific, we'll be back on the SDH app, on soccerdownhere.net, and on Spreaker. And we'll get you ready for Atlanta and Vancouver. We'll also talk about Open Cup, all the results from today. Look ahead to tomorrow's games, and we have other games in MLS tomorrow as well.
Busy night.
It's a busy night.
Seattle, Orlando, down the street.
Ooh, that'll be an interesting one.
Very interesting.
All right, we'll get you set for all that tomorrow as well, along with your MLS fantasy update. Thanks for listening, y'all. Mucha plata, y'all.